Hello and welcome to another edition of RentReady with Stephenson's, where we discuss the general application, operating procedures, and safe handling of our tools and equipment. Today, we're going to be spotlighting our series of manual material hoists. We have three different sizes available in our hoist lineup. We've got a 450 pound capacity, a 650 pound capacity, and an 1100 pound capacity. Our 450 pound is available in 13 or 16 foot heights. The 650 pound capacity is available in a 18 or 24 foot height, and our 1100 pound is available in a 16 foot only. Each of our units have the same functionality. They're commonly used for lifting HVAC equipment, mechanical equipment, and construction supplies. Today, we're going to take a look specifically at our 450 pound unit, and I'm going to show you the procedures for setting the unit up and what safety precautions you have to follow. So the first thing we want to do before we start using our 450 pound hoist is review our operator's manual. In all of the hoists, you're going to find a document tube in the bottom at the back of the machine. So now that we've finished reading our operator's manual, let's get familiar with the parts and components on the hoist. We've got our base legs, our stabilizer legs, we've got our mast lock, we've got our mast, we've got the winch on the back of the hoist, and we've got the transportation wheels on the back. And then we've got our forks that are separate from the machine. So before we start, let's do our pre-use inspection on the hoist to see what we need to look for. So there's going to be two stages to our pre-lift inspection. There's going to be the first stage, which we'll do now, that's just going to check for structural damage. And then we're going to set the unit up, and then we're going to do another inspection to make sure that all the components are working correctly. So in the first stage, we're just doing a simple visual inspection, looking for any cracks or anything that might be out of place. We're looking to make sure that pins are operational. We're making sure that all of our wheels turn, casters turn, everything's functional. When we get to the back of the hoist, we want to make sure that the wire is wound around the winch at least 3 times and that there's no obvious frays or nicks in the wire. If you see any more than 3 of the strands of the wire damaged, do not use the hoist. So next, let's tilt the unit back and get it set up. First thing we're going to do is remove the side handles. And they're just a quick release pin. Then we're going to tilt the machine backwards and lay it back on the winch. Next, we can go ahead and pull a pin on the lock for the legs. Let that slide down. Lift the leg up into place. And then we can bring that lock back up and lock that into place. We're going to do that on the other side as well. We want to make sure that gets locked into place. We can now go ahead and lift the machine back up on to the base legs. Next, we can go ahead and install the forks. So the first thing we want to do is we can put the handles back on the machine. And you want to make sure you stagger these when you're putting them back on. Then we can lower the retainer for the forks. And then we can release the travel lock. Now the forks can be installed in 2 different directions. You can install them standard, upright. If you know that you're going to be lifting a piece of equipment right up level, you can install the forks upside down. So today I'm just going to install the forks in the correct orientation. And these particular forks will just slip in to the front of the mast. We'll release the pins. And drop that into place. Next, we're going to lower our side outriggers because we are going to be lifting an item that's over 400 pounds. So we can simply release the clamp and we can pull down on that stabilizer. And the same on the other side. And they'll automatically lock back into place when you let go of the clamps. So now we're ready to operate. What we're going to do is make sure that everything is functional. So again, we're going to double check our wire. We're going to make sure that our brakes function off and on the front and on the back. Once we're into place to lift the item we're lifting, we're going to want to make sure those brakes are engaged. Now we're going to test and make sure that the forks raise and lower freely. Once you've determined that they do that, you can go ahead, attach your load to the forks and secure them using either a strap or a clamp. Once we've completed our lift, we can go ahead and pack the unit away, doing basically the reverse procedure. The first thing we're going to want to do is make sure that we lock the mast into place. So we're going to take our mast lock and insert it into the top of the mast. We're just going to tighten that up half a turn till it's snug. Next, we can go ahead and remove our forks. We're going to pull out on the two pins and we're going to lift straight up and off the mount. We can then go ahead and lift our stabilizer legs. We can remove our handles. And then we can go ahead and tilt the machine back onto the winch wheels. And we can release the lock for the legs. And make sure you lift that back up and lock it back into place. And you'll see the pin go down when it's locked into place. We can now go ahead and lift the hoist back up. And if you're getting ready for transportation mode, this time you can put the handles both back on in the same direction, pointed towards the front of the lift. That'll make it a lot easier to load into the back of your truck or van. Before we go, I just want to remind you of 4 key points. Number 1, make sure that you always have the mast lock engaged when you're transporting the unit. Number 2, do not use 2 units in tandem. They are designed to be used on their own. Number 3, do not overload the unit. And number 4, and most important, is please read the operator's manual before you use the hoist. I want to thank you for joining us for today's episode of Rent Ready with Stephenson's. You're now ready to rent one of our manual material hoists. But remember, before you start any job, please stop, think, and then act.